Back in 1979, the Skylab space station crashed back down to Earth. Most of the pieces burned up in the atmosphere, but some debris survived the fall. NASA told the public they had recovered every single piece, but they were dead wrong. Fast forward to 2007 in Western Australia. A man named Enos drives his bike through a massive sandstorm to reach a lonely gas station. He makes a desperate phone call to a biochemist named Martins, who is all the way in Italy. Enos tells her that he's been trying to warn NASA, but they keep ignoring him. He explains that people in his town are dying because of something that leaked out of a Skylab tank that crashed there 18 years ago. Martins tries to get more information, but the harsh storm cuts the phone line. Exactly 27 hours later, Martins shows up at that very same gas station. She meets up with Major Robert and Lieutenant Trini, who worked for a secret government group called the Defense Threat Reduction Agency. Martins reveals a dark secret. NASA actually sent a parasitic fungus into space. They were hoping to create a new antifungal medicine for astronauts. However, she believes the fungus mutated. Looking around, she points out that nobody has been seen in the area since Enos called. Everyone is likely dead. Taking no chances, Martins injects herself with strong allergy medicine. The team suits up in heavy-duty hazmat gear, turns on their body cameras, and heads into the town. As they walk through the quiet streets, they count 14 houses and 12 cars, but not a single living person. Finally, they find the crashed tank inside a building labeled as the Skylab Museum, surrounded by old newspaper clippings. Martins takes a closer look with a magnifying glass. She realizes the locals had tried to clean the tank using a homemade mix of dish soap and potatoes. This mixture leaked through tiny cracks in the tank and actually fed the fungus. Martin spots a weird green stain and confirms the fungus has grown and mutated. Suddenly, the green slime lunges right at her. Martins jumps back in terror. Right then, Trini calls out that she found a dead body. Martins hurries over, completely unaware that a piece of the fungus is stuck to her boot. The acidic slime quickly eats through the bottom of her shoe and sneaks inside her hazmat suit. Up on a roof, they find a gruesome scene. A man's chest is ripped wide open and his skull is split apart. Robert looks around and realizes every single person in town is dead on their roofs with the exact same horrific injuries. Martins figures it out. The fungus hijacked their brains, forced them to climb to a high spot, and made them wait there to burst open so the spores could spread on the wind. To prove her point, the dead man's head suddenly cracks open, revealing a massive amount of fungus inside. Martins heads back to the tank to grab a sample. As soon as she secures the sample, the fungus inside her suit reaches her body. She instantly feels dizzy and losing her mind. She throws up green slime inside her suit. The fungus completely takes over her brain. Controlled by the parasite, Martins jumps into their car and tries to run her team over. Trini draws her weapon, but Robert pushes her out of the way. The car hits Robert hard, severely injuring his back so he can't move. Martins attacks Trini, fighting for the gun. She manages to grab it and steps back. For just one brief second, Martins regains control of her own mind. She pulls her air tube out and shoots herself through the suit to stop the fungus from spreading. Hours later, the army arrives to secure the sample. Once they leave, they bomb the entire town to ash. The deadly sample is locked away in a freezing cold storage facility in Kansas. Many years pass. The Kansas military facility was abandoned and eventually turned into a cheap public storage company. It's the year 2026. A guy named Travis shows up for his shift and is immediately bullied by his manager, Griffin. Griffin is planning to rob the storage units and demands Travis's help. Travis says no, but Griffin threatens him until he finally agrees to simply unlock the front doors for the gang later. That evening, a woman named Mary visits her storage unit. Travis tries to be friendly, but she is rushing. After Travis drops her off at the elevator, he hears a strange beeping sound but brushes it off. Inside her unit, Mary pulls a gun out of a boot. She stares at a photo of her late husband, wishing him a happy anniversary. She raises the gun to take her own life, but she just can't bring herself to pull the trigger. Exhausted, she decides to take a nap instead. Travis hears the strange beeping again. He uses the intercom to call his new coworker, Naomi. She comes out to the lobby but doesn't hear anything. They introduce themselves, and Naomi immediately spots Travis's prison tattoo. Right then, Naomi gets a phone call, has a fast, angry argument, and hangs up. Then, she finally hears the beeping, too. Over in North Carolina, an older Robert gets an urgent call from the government. He reassures his wife, opens a hidden safe, grabs a secure satellite phone, and dials his old military base. A woman named Abigail answers. She tells him a temperature alarm went off at the decommissioned Kansas facility. Robert is furious. He had warned his bosses over and over that bad weather could ruin the old storage coolers, but no one listened. Since he is retired, he tells Abigail he needs top-secret clearance and heavy gear. Abigail hesitates. Robert guilt-trips her, reminding her that this exact scenario is why she sacrificed her personal life to actually save innocent people. Back at the storage building, Travis and Naomi track the noise to a solid wall. Naomi wants to smash it open, but Travis refuses, terrified of violating his parole and losing his job. Naomi realizes he's an ex-con and begs him for help. Travis caves, grabs some tools, and busts a hole in the wall. Inside, they find a massive old-school computer system. Naomi realizes it's a temperature control panel and figures out the building used to be a military base. She snaps a photo of a blueprint on the wall, noticing it shows hidden underground levels. She wants to go explore, but Travis refuses again. Naomi begs. Travis finally snaps, yelling that being a pushover is exactly how he ended up in prison in the first place. Naomi apologizes for pushing him. Travis realizes she's going to go down there with or without him, so he reluctantly tags along. Following the map, they find a hidden door inside a janitor's closet. Travis kicks it open, triggering a brief alarm. Inside, they find 1970s military gear, including hazmat suits, and a giant ladder dropping 500 feet into the dark. Naomi makes Travis climb down first. At the bottom, they hit a door marked DTRA Access Only. Having no clue what DTRA stands for, they open it anyway. Inside is a sealed glass chamber holding a massive pipe of freezing water. In the corner of the room, a group of rats is covered in fungus. The rats are stuck together by their tails in a giant knot, and they are so hungry they are eating each other. A rat lunges at Travis, making him jump back. Naomi looks through the glass window and sees the terrifying fungus growing all over the walls. It's even growing on the door. She reaches out to touch it, but Travis grabs her hand. Naomi notes that the door feels burning hot. Freaked out, they agree to leave immediately. Outside in the parking lot, Naomi's ex-boyfriend and the father of her kids, Mike, is sitting in his car. He angrily punches a steering wheel, stares at a handgun, and calls Naomi. She ignores it, so he leaves a voicemail complaining that she's ignoring him and saying he is in serious trouble. Suddenly, Mike hears a weird scratching noise coming from his trunk. He opens it and is shocked. He had previously shot a cat and put it in the trunk, thinking it was dead. But the cat is alive, and half of its face has been eaten away by the fungus. Mike stammers an apology, but the zombified cat hisses, jumps out, and throws up green fungus onto the pavement. The cat scrambles up a tall radio antenna and intentionally impales its own head. The cat's body violently explodes, showering infected blood all over Mike and a few wild deer standing nearby. The fungus instantly shoots straight to Mike's brain. He drops to the ground and violently throws up for several minutes. The parasite takes over, commanding him to find more humans. Mike instantly thinks of Naomi. He grabs his gun and marches into the building, trailed by one of the infected deer. Up in the air on a secure DTRA plane, Robert watches the old footage of Martin's dying. He gets a call from his new boss, Wesley. Wesley thinks Robert is a paranoid old man obsessing over a cold case. They argue, and Wesley hangs up. Then Abigail calls Robert. She admits she read his classified Australian report and is completely on his side. Robert gives her a coded message for Trini, asking for item 7. He tells Abigail his phone isn't secure, so she has to be the one to call him from now on. Back in the facility, Travis and Naomi look up DTRA on their phones and learn it stands for Defense Threat Reduction Agency. As they walk out of the janitor's closet, they are frozen in shock. A deer is standing inside the elevator. Travis asks how this is even possible. A quick flashback reveals the truth. Years ago, the fungus escaped its icy container and slipped through a tiny crack in the door. Just hours ago, a cockroach ate the slime and got infected. A rat tried to eat the roach, getting the fungus on its nose. The roach crawled through the air vents, made it to the street, and was squashed by Mike's car tires. The fungus crawled up the rubber tires, slipped into the trunk, and brought the dead cat back to life. Back in the present, the deer steps out of the elevator and charges right at them. Naomi yanks Travis out of the way just a split second before the deer's body violently explodes. Then Mike steps out of the elevator. He casually admits he was the one who shot his parents' cat, a pet Naomi loved. He raises his gun. Travis and Naomi sprint away as Mike opens fire. The loud gunshots wake Mary up from her nap. Travis and Naomi scramble into a random storage unit to hide, but the metal door gets jammed and won't close all the way. Mike slowly walks down the hallway, completely missing them. But suddenly, an object falls off a shelf right behind Travis. Travis catches it with lightning speed and pulls it inside. Mike walks away, seeing nothing. They breathe a sigh of relief, but as Travis steps backward, he crashes into a pile of junk, making a huge racket. Mike immediately runs back and shoves his hand under the jammed door, trying to grab them. Travis and Naomi use all their body weight to slam the heavy metal door down, crushing Mike's hand. Safe for the moment, Naomi uses her phone to search for anyone who can help them. At a local airport, Trini picks up Robert in a car. She tells him they need to make a pit stop to grab Item 7 before heading to the infected zone. Just then, Abigail calls Robert and says she has a terrified civilian from the storage facility on the other line. She merges the calls. Naomi quickly tells Robert everything while Mike furiously pounds on their metal door. Robert realizes the fungus is getting smarter and finding new ways to infect people. He promises to get there as fast as he can and gives Naomi strict rules. Do not touch the fungus, stay hidden, do not talk to anyone but him or Abigail. After Robert hangs up, Trini bluntly tells him the civilians are probably going to die. While Travis and Naomi sit in the dark arguing over whether this counts as a zombie apocalypse, they hear vehicles pull up outside. Griffin and his criminal gang have arrived for the robbery. They break in, see the exploded deer chunks on the wall, and ignore it. Griffin uses the intercom to threaten Travis for ruining his big heist, and then the gang starts stealing flat-screen TVs from a unit. Meanwhile, Robert and Trini hop a fence and break into a quiet suburban house. They open a locked chest and retrieve Item 7. As they try to leave, the homeowner blocks their path with a weapon. It turns out to be Trini's own son. Trini sweet-talks him to lower his guard, allowing her and Robert to slip out. Outside, Robert angrily scolds Trini for hiding highly classified, dangerous military gear inside a civilian home. Trini doesn't care, she just hugs him. She tells Robert he has to finish this mission alone because she is getting too old and slow and she doesn't want to get him killed. Robert drives toward the facility talking to Abigail on the phone. He warns her that if it starts raining, the fungus will spread through the water and become completely unstoppable. He demands she use military satellites to scan the area for abnormal heat signatures, which will highlight anyone infected. Abigail promises to pull some strings. Inside the storage building, Travis wants to make a run for it, but Naomi says it's suicide. After a fierce argument, Travis wins, and they carefully sneak out of the unit. They soon realize Mike's body is deteriorating fast. Mike wanders into another unit and finds half of Griffin's robbers. Before they can react, Mike vomits toxic fungus all over their faces, infecting them instantly. He slams the metal door shut, trapping them inside until the parasite takes over their brains. Then Mike spots Travis and Naomi and sprints after them. Right as he is about to tackle them, a gunshot rings out. Mary stands there with her gun smoking. She just shot Mike right in the head. Mike's body instantly explodes, covering the hallway in slime. Mary wants to use the elevator to escape, but Travis hears Griffin yelling nearby. He guides Mary to the stairs instead. Before escaping, Mary hands her gun to Travis. Griffin and his buddy Friedman are hunting for Travis. Travis quickly throws the gun away so he doesn't look like a threat. The other half of the gang gets bored waiting outside and drives off with the stolen TVs. Travis bravely steps out and warns Griffin to stay far away from Mike's exploded remains. Down the hall, the infected robbers are losing their minds, screaming and violently banging on the closed unit door. Travis begs Griffin to leave them, explaining they are highly contagious. Griffin ignores him. He pulls his gun and threatens Travis, but slips on a puddle of bloody slime. The gun goes off accidentally, shooting Travis right in the arm. Clutching his bleeding arm, Travis walks over to the infected robber's unit, but instead of opening it, he locks it tight. Before Griffin can shoot him again, Naomi blasts Griffin in the face with a fire extinguisher, giving Travis and Naomi the perfect cover to run away. Griffin then tells his infected friends trapped inside to slide the padlock key under the door. They do. When Griffin finally rolls up the door, he screams in absolute terror at the mutated monsters his friends have become. Friedman takes one look, turns to run, and slips on the infected blood, infecting himself in the process. Inside the unit, one of the infected women mutters that she doesn't feel well right before she violently explodes. Travis and Naomi finally burst out of the building and run right into Robert. Abigail checks the satellite feed and confirms they are both uninfected. Robert hands them a gun, 2 hazmat suits, and Item 7, which turns out to be a massive explosive device. Travis panics at the idea of bombing the building, but Robert promises the blast will be contained deep underground. He tells them it is the absolute only way to stop the fungus from ending the world. Robert says he will hold the line in the parking lot and shoot anything that tries to escape. Travis and Naomi suit up, grab the heavy bomb, and run back into the nightmare. Outside, Robert takes a knife and slashes the tires on every single vehicle in the lot so nothing can drive away. Abigail warns him over the earpiece that a massive heat signature is rushing right at him. It's the infected Friedman. Robert spins around and shoots him multiple times, killing him, but twisting so fast completely throws out his bad back and he collapses to the ground in agony. Friedman's body explodes. Robert drags himself up and shoots the gas tanks of the gang's motorcycles, starting a raging fire. Inside, Griffin hears the gunfire and struggles to keep the infected robbers inside the unit at gunpoint. One of the infected suddenly breaks into a sprint and runs deeper into the building. Travis and Naomi reach the underground chamber. The fungus is growing out of control, spreading rapidly into the next room. If it reaches the water pipes, it's game over. They set the bomb down, but realize with horror that Robert already started the timer. They have exactly 6 minutes to get out. As they sprint for the ladder, the ancient timer glitches and the minutes start ticking down twice as fast. Back on the surface, Robert sees a wave of creeping fungus sliding out of Friedman's remains, heading straight for him. Robert instantly guns the robber down. Griffin runs outside to shoot Robert, but the dead robber suddenly sits up and starts talking. Terrified, Griffin shoots the zombie and turns his gun back to Robert. Before he can pull the trigger, Trini shows up out of nowhere and shoots Griffin dead. Down below, Naomi and Travis are sprinting for their lives but find their path blocked by the final infected robber. Without hesitating, Naomi raises her gun and shoots the monster. They scramble up the ladder and finally burst out of the front doors. Trini raises her weapon at them, but Robert yells out that they are completely clean. Naomi and Travis grab Robert, help him into Trini's car, and they slam the gas pedal. The bomb detonates. The explosion is so massive, it literally sucks the building and the ground around it straight down into a sinkhole. Naomi drives like an absolute maniac, dodging massive chunks of flying concrete and staying just inches ahead of the collapsing earth. After a few terrifying seconds, the destruction stops and the group escapes with their lives. The next morning, the arrogant boss Lesley is cornered by news reporters on live television, getting roasted for ignoring the signs of the deadly fungus. Abigail visits a recovering Robert in the hospital, thanking him for reminding her why she became a soldier in the first place. At a sunny park, Naomi happily introduces Travis to her daughters. Everything seems perfect, but deep in the nearby woods, a solitary deer lowers its head and throws up a pile of glowing green fungus, and the movie ends right here. If you enjoyed this recap, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.